Welcome to this episode of CynSpeaks. In this episode, we're going to talk about the desert. I know it sounds weird, but this is a fun one for me because I'm from the desert. Phoenix is a desert, but it's also a metaphor for life. So in our life, we are sometimes, I'm smiling because this is awesome for me. This is my favorite space in life. When we're in the desert, when things are dry, when things are unclear, it's kind of fun because you get to really get to know yourself. And it's important that we embrace those times too, because a lot of people will talk about the success and talk about the harvest and talk about the, when things are great, but there's value in polarity. There's value in the other side. There's value in those dry moments where you're really not sure what's coming next. You're not sure what's going to happen. You get tempted with mirages that aren't real. So deserts are kind of cool. So when we think about the elements of like a desert, right? Arizona desert is different from like an Egyptian desert, but in Arizona, right, we have a lot of cacti, and those are things that may be a source of something good internally, but externally they have all these thorns. Those could be representations of many things. But when you really think about these moments of drought, or where things have dried up, or things that aren't clear, maybe, you can relate that to scenarios in your life where maybe relationships have dried up and they've run their course, and you know that, but maybe you don't know what to do next. Or maybe you were in the zone creatively and things were just flowing to you like water, and now all of a sudden all your ideas have dried up. Or maybe money was flowing to you and money stopped flowing to you and it's dried up now. Like, this can be applied to so many things, but if you're thinking about when things have dried up, you can also think about the fact that they pretty much have dried up for a reason. So just because it's not still flowing to you doesn't mean it's not supposed to flow to you, and doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be in this space. Wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. So if you're finding yourself in this space where everything is dried up, we'll talk about ideas and inspiration, right? Inspiration just flows to you when it's right. When you're in alignment, things just flow to you, ideas flow to you, project completion details just flow to you. You still have to do work, but some of those nuggets are just dropped into your lap pretty much. The things that you need to know are brought to you. You get a dream, you get a message, you get a call, a certain song comes on, things are just flowing. And then there are those moments where that's not happening. And you're just like, what the heck is going on? Am I here by myself? I don't understand. You can take one of two routes. You can try to force it. You can exert yourself by forcing the quicker completion of this phase, or you can sit in it. And I encourage you to sit in it, because in those periods of drought or quiet or sometimes solitude, there are lessons there too. And if we rush the process too much, you'll miss the lessons. So if you're in a space where maybe you're in a relationship and the relationship flow, it's just dried up, it's time for you to look at that. That doesn't necessarily mean you up and leave. I can't tell you what to do, but that is a time and a signal for you to look within you and really evaluate that situation. Don't get caught up by the mirage. Don't get caught up by the fake facade that somebody puts on when they're afraid of losing something. Don't be caught off guard from those things, but really look at that situation. And that is what the real value is with these dry or quiet or downtimes, is you have the ability to look at things from an observational perspective, but you also have the ability to look within yourself and do some self-work and self-evaluation. So it's a really valuable time in your life. And if you just brush past it, you may miss the lesson. So if you're thinking about a scenario that you just don't know what to do next, it's probably because you're not supposed to do anything. So if that next step isn't completely crystal clear for you, that means you don't have one yet. That means don't do anything. That means wait. So these dry moments, spend that time valuably. You can still get value out of that time. You can still use that time to benefit your life. You can still grow in those times. You can still even be of value to somebody else if you're not sure what's coming next. And you'll find that there's beauty there as well. If you're in a relationship and you know the relationship has run its course, but it's not harmful, it's not a toxic relationship, and you stay for a little bit longer, there's beauty there, and there's something that will happen. And that will either be that you realize very clearly that that is not the person for you, or you realize that it is. And either one of those are beautiful, because if you just up and leave every time things get a little ugly, you're not going to really be able to build meaningful relationships or grow from relationship to relationship, or partnership experience to partnership experience, however you want to see it. If you aren't giving yourself that space to look at the scenario critically, you're missing a lot out of life. And so don't rush it. Don't rush through the process. Don't try to speed it up. Just sit with it for a second. If you're in a relationship and you're not sure what to do and you're safe, I can't say like this if you're in an abusive or unsafe relationship. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, make the best decision for you. But if you're safe and everything, maybe there's value in sitting with it and looking at it. Maybe look at, is there something I can do differently to improve this situation? Sometimes you might be the source of the problem. Not all the time, but sometimes you could be the source of some of the problems. You can also say, okay, can I react to this differently? Really, that is like the space where you can decide if you have done everything that you could possibly do. And if you push through when you're in that desert space, when you're in that dry space where it's hard to focus on the relationship or whatever it is, and you push past it and you give your all in that relationship and you do everything in your power to repair it, if you decide at any point in the future to move away from that relationship, at least you'll have known that you did everything you could do to save it before you walked away from it. So there's value in both. There's value in knowing that you did everything that you could do. And that's so important. So just think about that as you're experiencing the dry desert time, because it won't always be like that, for one, but also don't brush past these lessons that are of value to you as well. Also, if you move too quickly through it, you could be missing out on some blessings, right? If you live in Arizona or have been to Arizona or from Arizona, people that just drive through Arizona real quick, you might miss out on some cool things. We have some cool things here. We have, like, our mountains are beautiful, and our sunsets are unlike any other sunset you've ever seen. I can guarantee you that. So you may not be able to experience a sunset or a sunrise if you just drive straight through and you're just focused on getting to your destination as quickly as possible. So there's also value in just taking your time and trying to learn and listen. Take some time meditating on the situation, praying on it, releasing some things, working on you. And then when the time is right, you'll see that a decision will be made very clear for you. And when it's crystal clear and when it makes sense for you and when you're safe and when it, when you and your therapist decide that it makes sense, then you leave a situation. But you may end up wanting to stay. If you stay through the drought, if you stay through the dry season, you may end up deciding that this is something that you really want. So there's value in not acting impulsively every single time things don't go your way. or things don't seem to be going your way. If you're a creator or creative and you're working on a project and the inspiration isn't coming to you, maybe it's time to stop to get some new knowledge. Maybe you need to grow your knowledge. Maybe you've reached a plateau in your growth and you need to dig a little bit, or you just need to rest. Sometimes you just need to rest. Sometimes you need to rest your body. I realize that there are a maximum number of hours that I can go in a day without needing rest, and it varies per day, but I know when I hit that. And when I hit that, I stop. I respect it. I don't try to push through too much. If it's realistic, if it's midnight and I know I need to be up early, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to try to force the creative process. And that's the value of not having to work on deadlines. I don't really have to work on deadlines, but just think about that. If you do have to work on deadlines, cut everything into chunks. Spend 8 hours a day for 3 days as opposed to a 24-hour block of time. Like, your inspiration is going to flow a lot better. So just manage that. If you're in a dry space, if you're in a drought area, sit in it and chill and meditate and spend time with yourself. Maybe go have a little fun, take a walk, and then come back to your project, and I bet you'll be inspired. So there's value in the drought, there's value in the downtime, there's value in the quiet time. Just push through it. Push through it as in sit in it and let it be, and stay okay as you're going through it. Don't necessarily rush through it is what I'm saying. So make sure you add me on Instagram. Make sure you tag me in your progress. Thank you so much for joining. As always, I so appreciate it. Let's grow together. Until next time.